Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Raghuchaya Sota Sata Shisama Chila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Chila Prabhupada ki. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Raghuchaya Sota Sata Shisama Chila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Chila Prabhupada ki. Anantagodi Vaishnavarinda ki. Sirup Si Sanatan Bhatta Raghunathi Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunathacharya Goswami Prabhu ki. प्रेम से को श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवजरी गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री राधा कृष्ण गो गोपा गोपी गोपीनाचाम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की मथुरा धाम की मायापुर धाम की जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की तुलसी महारानी भक्ति देवी की गंगे यमुनी देवी की हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की श्री श्री गौनिताय की श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की श्री श्री राधा श्याम सुंदर की गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल सामवेद भक्तवृंद की all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Reading from the Bhagavad Gita as it is. 10th chapter, text number 3. Yo mam ajam anādiṁ ca vetti loka-maheśvaram asammūḍhaḥ martyeṣu sarva-pāpaiḥ pramucyate yo mam ajam anādiṁ yo mam ajam anādiṁ ca vetti loka-maheśvaram asammūḍhaḥ martyeṣu sarva-pāpaiḥ pramucyate yo mam ajam anādiṁ ca vetti loka-maheśvaram asammūḍhaḥ martyeṣu sarva-pāpaiḥ pramucyate yo mam ajam anādiṁ ca vetti loka-maheśvaram asammūḍhaḥ martyeṣu sarva-pāpaiḥ pramucyate. Yo mam ajam anādiṁ ca vetti loka-maheśvaram asammūḍhaḥ martyeṣu sarva-pāpaiḥ pramucyate yo mam ajam anādiṁ ca vetti loka-maheśvaram asammūḍhaḥ martyeṣu sarva-pāpaiḥ pramucyate. Matajis. Yo mam ajam anādiṁ ca vetti loka-maheśvaram asammūḍhaḥ martyeṣu sarva-pāpaiḥ pramucyate. Anyone who me, ajam, unborn, anādiṁ, without beginning, cha, also, vetti, knows, loka, of the planets, mahā-īśvaram, the Supreme Master, asammūḍhaḥ, undeluded, he, martyeṣu, among those subject to death, sarva-pāpaiḥ, from all sinful reactions, pramucyate, is delivered. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. He who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, as the Supreme Lord of all the worlds, He only, undeluded among man, is freed from all sins. Purport. As stated in the 7th chapter, manuṣyāṇāṁ sahasreṣu kaścid yatati siddhaye. Those who are trying to elevate themselves to the platform of spiritual realization are not ordinary men. They are superior to millions and millions of ordinary men who have no knowledge of spiritual realization. But out of those actually trying to understand the spiritual situation, one who can come to the understanding that Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the proprietor of everything, the unborn, is the most successful spiritually realized person. In that stage only, when one has fully understood Kṛṣṇa's supreme position, can one be free completely from all sinful reactions. Here the Lord is described by the word ajam, meaning unborn. But He is distinct from the living entities who are described in the 2nd chapter as ajam. The Lord is different from the living entities who are taking birth and dying due to material attachment. The conditioned souls are changing their bodies, but His body is not changeable. Even when He comes to this material world, He comes as the same unborn. Therefore, in the 4th chapter, it is said that the Lord, by His internal potency, is not under the inferior material energy, but is always in the superior energy. In this verse, the words vetti loka-maheśvaram indicate that one should know that Lord Kṛṣṇa is the supreme proprietor of the planetary systems of the universe. He was existing before the creation and is different from His creation. All the demigods were created within this material world, but as far as Kṛṣṇa is concerned, it is said that He is not created. Therefore, Kṛṣṇa is different even from the great demigods, like Brahma and Shiva. And because He is the creator of Brahma, Shiva and all the other demigods, He is the Supreme Person of all planets. Sri Kṛṣṇa is therefore different from everything that is created. And anyone who knows Him as such immediately becomes liberated from all sinful reactions. One must be liberated from all sinful activities to be in the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Only by devotional service can He be known, and not by any other means, as stated in Bhagavad Gita. One should not try to understand Kṛṣṇa as a human being. As stated previously, only a foolish person thinks Him to be a human being. This is again expressed here in a different way. A man who is not foolish, who is intelligent enough to understand the constitutional position of the Godhead, is always free from all sinful reactions. If Kṛṣṇa is known as the son of Devaki, then how can he be unborn? That is also explained in Śrīmad Bhagavatam. When he appeared before Devaki and Vasudeva, he was not born as an ordinary child. He appeared in his original form and then he transformed himself into an ordinary child. Anything done under the direction of Kṛṣṇa is transcendental. It cannot be contaminated by material reactions, which may be auspicious or inauspicious. The conception that there are things auspicious and inauspicious in the material world is more or less a mental concoction, because there is nothing auspicious in the material world. Everything is inauspicious because the very material nature is inauspicious. We simply imagine it to be auspicious. The real auspiciousness depends on activities in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, in full devotion and service. Therefore, if we at all want our activities to be auspicious, then we should work under the directions of the Supreme Lord. Such directions are given in authoritative scriptures such as Śrīmad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, or from a bona fide spiritual master. Because the spiritual master is the representation of the Supreme Lord, his direction is directly the direction of the Supreme Lord. The spiritual master, saintly persons and scriptures direct in the same way. There is no contradiction in these three sources. All actions done under such direction are free from the reactions of pious or impious activities of this material world. The transcendental attitude of the devotee in the performance of activities is actually that of renunciation, and this is called sannyas. As stated in the first verse of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, one who acts as a matter of duty because he has been ordered to do so by the Supreme Lord, and who does not seek shelter in the fruits of his activities, anashrita karma phalam, is a true renouncer. Anyone acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord is actually sannyasi and a yogi, and not the man who has simply taken the dress of the sannyasi or a pseudo-yogi. Vandeham Sri Guru Siyutabada Kamalan Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sirupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Sabadutam Parjana Saitam Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Kṛṣṇa Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishagandvidamscha He Kṛṣṇa Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastude Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Kṛṣṇa Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yomam ajam anādiṁ ca vetti loka-maheśvaram asammūḍhaḥ martyeṣu sarva-pāpaiḥ pramucyate. He knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, as the Supreme Lord of all the worlds. He only understands. He only, undeluded among men, is freed from all sins. So Kṛṣṇa speaking to his dear devotee. Hanji? Acha. Okay. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Hare Kṛṣṇa. You can hear? Hare Krishna. Now it's fine? No, you can hear now? No, not good. Now it's better, no? Fine. He will adjust. Hare Krishna. So, Kṛṣṇa speaking to Arjuna. So explaining about the devotee who knows, who comes to understand Kṛṣṇa, vetti, loka-maheśvaram. So the word vetti is as many times in the Bhagavad Gita uttered by Kṛṣṇa. Like in the 4th chapter, janma karma me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva dhyam puna janma naiti mam eti so arjuna. Veti tattvataha. One who knows me truth, Kṛṣṇa is explaining. One who knows my janma, that means my appearance in this world, karma, my activities, as dibya. So he is liberated and he will not take birth again in this material world. Of course here it is mentioned that ajam, Kṛṣṇa is unborn. Whereas now in the 4th chapter Kṛṣṇa is telling Arjuna, janma, my birth. But there's a difference, as explained by Prabhupada in a Purport, and as we know between Kṛṣṇa's taking birth and the ordinary person taking birth. Kṛṣṇa is appearing in this world, therefore we say is appearing, avyabhav. He's coming by his own sweet will to this world. And he's coming in his transcendental form, Satchidananda Sarup. So therefore it is divine appearance of Kṛṣṇa. Divine birth of Kṛṣṇa. So whereas the living entity and the conditioned soul is forced to take birth in this world. Although as Prabhupada is explaining, even in the Bhagavad Gita it is mentioned that the soul is ajam. The soul is also unborn, because by nature the spirit soul is also eternal. But due to being in conditioned state, he is forced to take birth in this world. And he's actually forgetful of his spiritual nature, of his eternal nature. He's forgetful of his relationship with Kṛṣṇa. So there's a difference always between the Supreme Lord Kṛṣṇa and the living entity, the jiva. Except the pure devotees of the Lord, they are also appearing in this world, they are also transcendental. But even there, because they are also part and parcels of Kṛṣṇa, and there's some difference there. Although their appearance is transcendental, therefore we also say for the spiritual master that he appeared in this world. He's not taking birth like an ordinary human being, but by the will of the Lord, he's appearing in this world, he's taking birth. And even there, if a pure devotee is appearing in this world, so his love for Kṛṣṇa is there, it is awakened, but he does not know everything. He knows Kṛṣṇa in this sense, he knows everything, but Kṛṣṇa, he knows past, present and future of everything in this world. Whereas a pure devotee, he may also know the past, present and future in his mature stage. But when he is appearing in this world, even a pure devotee is appearing as a child, and then his activities appear just like a child. He's also crying, and then he has to go to school also. Whereas the Supreme Lord, as soon as he's appearing in this world, he has supernatural power. Although he's crying in the past time, especially Kṛṣṇa, whereas the other personality of God has the division of avatars, usually when they appear, even as a child, so they will be extraordinary in their activities, in the sense that they may not behave like an ordinary child. Whereas Kṛṣṇa, although he's the Supreme Lord and is the original personality of Godhead, the source of all incarnation, his pastimes appear very similar to human, ordinary child, in the sense that he's crying and he's very naughty. But the difference is there that even as a small child, he's performing uncommon activities, like killing so many demons when Kṛṣṇa appeared. And actually he was just a few days old. And then his mother put him under a chariot in which there were many things put, household things. And then she was taking care of the things at home. Actually, that was a demon who had taken shelter of this small chariot in which they put the items of the household, and then he was trying to crush baby Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa, he understood, because although he's like a baby, and he may be Mukunda, he's transcendentally bewildered also. Sometimes he doesn't know what's going on by his own sweet will. But at the same time, he's sarvajñā, he knows everything. So he kicked, and because he knew that a demon had taken shelter of that small chariot in which they had many items there of the house, and he was trying to push and to crush Kṛṣṇa. So Kṛṣṇa, with simply one of his little feet, with one foot, so he kicked that small chariot and it flew up in the sky, and then it came down and crashed and broke into 1,000 pieces. And the demon was dead. So the persons there, they were really surprised how this is happening. So that is extraordinary. And little later on, so Kṛṣṇa, he was again put outside, actually by his mother. So she was taking care of Kṛṣṇa, carrying Kṛṣṇa, but then suddenly Kṛṣṇa became so heavy, very heavy. And martyeṣu, she could not understand, but somehow she thought, well, somehow I'm very tired, and Kṛṣṇa is so heavy. Because Kṛṣṇa is, as mentioned here, mahā-īśvaram, mahā-īśvar, is the controller, the greatest controller. And his, so Yogeshwar is the greatest yogi. He can do anything. Like the yogis, they can become smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest, and they can become very heavy, very light. So Kṛṣṇa is the Yogeshwar, is the greatest of all yogis. So he became very, very heavy. martyeṣu put him down, and then she was going inside the house and taking care of some other household duties. And then one whirlwind demon came. Demon disguised as a whirlwind. So demons, they were powerful at this time also. And they had some yogic perfection. Although they were inimical towards the Lord or the devotees, but by practice of yoga, according to Vedic literatures or the scriptures, so they got some power. But that power is material. But by this power, yogic power, one can do extraordinary things. So he became a whirlwind, and he took up Kṛṣṇa, and he went up in the sky very high. And then Kṛṣṇa became like, so at that point, so Kṛṣṇa was not so heavy for the whirlwind also. It took him up very easily. And then, so when he was up in the sky, Kṛṣṇa again becomes very, very heavy. And for the demon, Kṛṣṇa became so heavy. And so so Kṛṣṇa was holding to his neck of the demon. And then he wanted to just push him away, but he couldn't. And then he manifested the form of a demon, but he could just not get rid of Kṛṣṇa now. And he was perplexed, and then he just fell down on the ground also. So, loka-maheśvaram. Kṛṣṇa is saying also in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhuktaranga-tapasam sarva-loka-maheśvaram. Again, loka-maheśvaram. Sarva-loka-maheśvaram is the Lord of all planets. So one who understands this, Bhuktaranga-tapasam sarva-loka-maheśvaram, suridam sarva-bhutanam gyātvamam shantim richyati gyātvamam. One who knows this, that Kṛṣṇa is the ultimate enjoyer and is the Lord of all the planets, of all the worlds, and is everyone's best friend. One who knows this, so he attains peace. He is liberated. There's no fear for him of this material existence. So one who knows about Kṛṣṇa properly, his appearance, his divine qualities, he does not have to take birth again. He's liberated, he's freed from all sinful reactions. So also in the 7th chapter, as Prabhupada is quoting the first two lines, manuṣyāṇāṁ sahasreṣu kaścid yatati siddhaye yatanam kaśchid māṁ vetti tattvataḥ. Again here, vetti tattvataḥ. One who knows in truth. Manuṣyāṇāṁ sahasreṣu. And so about thousands of men, one may come to understand that there is more than just this material life, that one has to engage in spiritual activities. And then, if one is doing that, then one can advance in spiritual life. So of those actually who are endeavoring, actually only very few they can attain perfection. As again in the 7th chapter it is mentioned, text number 19, Bhaunjam janmanamante jnanavamam papadate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma surulabhaha. One who understands Kṛṣṇa as he is. So such a person, the Mahatma, is very, very rare. Even those who understand Kṛṣṇa and who may be serving Kṛṣṇa, but those who realize Kṛṣṇa in truth as he is, it's his Satchidananda Swarup, who have direct perception of Kṛṣṇa and direct perception of their own selves, the spirit soul, they're very, very rare. I mean, if you ask here, anyone present here, so anyone here is self-realized, who has seen Kṛṣṇa as he is, playing his flute, performing his wonderful pastime, anyone is seeing Kṛṣṇa? Anyone has understood their transcendental nature, a spirit soul, and their relationship with Kṛṣṇa? Anyone here who has realized? Please raise your hand. Very rare. Very rare to find Siddha Mahapurush Mahatma, who has attained Swarup Siddhi, realization of his Swarup, of his transcendental nature. So it is very rare. So by constant endeavor and engaging in devotional service, it is possible, and actually we are trying our best to make as much advancement as possible and to realize our own self. Atma sakshakar, direct perception of the self. That is the goal of life, realizing Kṛṣṇa Swarupa and our relationship. So we try our best, and Kṛṣṇa does the rest. So we hope for the best. So those who are completely free, they are the most successful persons. And that refers especially to And the devotees, because as we know, so many transcendentalists are there, even the Mayavadis, the impersonalists, those who are meditating, doing Ashtanga yoga, trying to realize the super soul. But then even amongst the devotees, so many devotees are there on different level of realization. So, but those who have completed, those who have come to the highest stage, they are very rare. So, also in the Bhagavad Gita, further on, later on in the 11th chapter also, Bhakti Mama Vijayanati Yavan Yashasmita Bhakti Mama Vijanati. Anyone knows? Yavan Yashasmita Tataha Tyaktva? Yes, again there also the word vetti is there, and in the 18th chapter, this also 18, what is it, 65? Well, let me see. But it's getting older, the memory is also getting older. So I used to know half of the shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita, maybe 300 shlokas, but now I'm forgetting. But there's another verse, 1865, Bhakti Mama Vijanati Yan, let me see, I have to look it up here. No. Which one is it here? Anyhow, no, there's another one here. Yeah, that is one also. Manmaro madbhakto madjajimam namaskuru mamevasi satyate patita jane priyosime. So always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear child. Let me see, but there's one more verse which is there, which is also explaining at this point. So if one is fully surrendered to Kṛṣṇa, and by Krishna's mercy, then he will understand everything. And so he will be engaged in pure devotional service, and then Kṛṣṇa is helping him. Actually, many verses are there in Bhagavad Gita, even in the same 10th chapter, text number 8, 9, 10, 11. There also, Tesham Satati Yuktanam Bhajadam Pritipurvakam Dadami Buddhiyogam Ta Yena Mamupayantite. So to those who are constantly devoted to me, to them I give the knowledge by which they can come to me. So Kṛṣṇa is helping the devotees who are surrendering to him. So further on here, so Kṛṣṇa, Prabhupada is explaining that then one should not understand Kṛṣṇa as a human being. Asammūḍhaḥ martyeṣu. So it is mentioned here by Kṛṣṇa himself that martyeṣu means one who is subject to death. So we should understand that Kṛṣṇa is not subject to death. Of course, that is understood for the devotees. But the materialistic person, sometimes they become bewildered by Kṛṣṇa's activities. And for example, just like when he left this world, it is explained that is actually also to delude the materialistic person or an ordinary person So there was one hunter Jara and he was shooting one arrow, and then apparently Kṛṣṇa left his body there. But the acharyas have explained, so that is just to bewilder the conditioned souls who have not complete faith in the Lord, or who are actually not in the proper association. So some people, they became bewildered by that. Oh, how he can be the Supreme Lord? He just left the body also. But it is explained just like, for example, you may see the snake sometimes is leaving the skin. But it is just going on. But because the skin was old, then it just left the skin. Of course, that is an ordinary example. But Kṛṣṇa, again, here is a supreme mystic and he can do anything. So for him to just create a body at any time and leave that body, that is very easy. So sometimes the pastimes of the Lord are a little bit bewildering, even for the devotees. But we have to keep the faith, and as explained also by Prabhupada in the scriptures, so he has referred to sadhu, guru and shastra, that we have to take shelter with the spiritual master, the previous acharyas and the scriptures. And if sometimes there's a difficulty in understanding something in regards to the Supreme Lord or devotional service, then we have to take shelter of these three, the scriptures and the spiritual master and the previous acharyas. And then we can understand the subject matter, or whatever questions may be there, may be answered, may be revealed, or may be understood. So with the help of the spiritual master, the previous acharyas and the scriptures. And these three, usually there is no contradiction in these three. The spiritual master is explaining what the previous acharyas have told, and that is mentioned in the scriptures also. So in this way we can verify also. So Prabhupada has mentioned about taking shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. The bona fide spiritual master is the direct representative of the Lord. Kṛṣṇa Kripa Sri Murti is the personification of the mercy of Kṛṣṇa. So, for example, the Kṛṣṇa has spoken the Bhagavad Gita. So these are the direct words of Kṛṣṇa. But at the beginning stage of devotional service, it is not easy to fully understand what Kṛṣṇa actually wants us to do. So therefore we have to take shelter of the spiritual master. Some things are more clear, but some things that may not be clear, and therefore we need the help of the spiritual master. Like for example, simply the shlokas are there of the Bhagavad Gita, and so we may read these, but without the purports it may not be possible to fully understand. Or Srila Prabhupada, he gave very beautiful purports, so for our correct understanding. And sometimes some other persons who are not pure devotees are interpreting the different verses of Bhagavad Gitas, which are actually not authorized, which are faulty, which are misguiding actually. So even nowadays, or even I remember when I first was reading the Bhagavad Gita, it was from one person who was not a pure devotee of the Lord. And that was more than 40 years ago, before coming in contact with Prabhupada's movement and his Bhagavad Gita. I read 4 or 5 Bhagavad Gitas with their commentaries, but it was not clear to me what I have to do, how I have to surrender to Kṛṣṇa. Sarva-dharman parijyajya mamekam saranam vraja. Surrender to me. How to surrender to Kṛṣṇa? I did not know what to do. Because there was no spiritual master there. And even the commentaries of Bhagavad Gita, because they were also not pure devotees, they were not surrendered to Krishna, so therefore they could not explain properly. They had some idea and some knowledge was there, but it was not clear. To them, to these commentators, and even to myself then, I was thinking, well, anyway, it's an interesting book and makes some sense to some extent, but I was not surrendered to Krishna. But then I came to our society and read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, and then with the help of the devotees, not only reading Bhagavad Gita and the purports by Prabhupada, but then with the help of the devotees who are engaged in devotional service, who are trained by Prabhupada, then we can understand how to surrender to Krishna. And then we can advance. Otherwise it is very difficult. But even after having been in contact with a pure devotee, that sometimes it takes time to be able to fully surrender because of the conditioning, because of the modes of material nature, because of the anarthas, the unwanted things, the impurities in the heart. So therefore we have to be very patient, and we have to be constantly endeavor for perfection in good association of the advanced devotees. And constantly engage in devotional activities, especially chanting the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then very important, so is also to hear about Krishna's wonderful activities. So his appearance, and just like here I mentioned also, that Krishna is the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. And so Prabhupada is referring, so just to instill faith in the common man, or even in Vasudeva and Devaki, because they wanted to have the Supreme Lord as their child. So therefore he appeared first as Vishnu, a four-armed form. And then after he transferred himself as an ordinary child. So they understood, oh, our child is actually the Supreme Lord. So that is only one aspect actually of Krishna's wonderful display in regards to his appearance in this world. Because at the same time he also appeared as a son of Maria Yashoda and Nanda Baba. Even that not everyone knows. Majority of the people in India, they think Krishna is the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, and then he was brought to Mathura. But then the Acharyas have explained, Prabhupada has explained, that Krishna appeared at the same time in Braj, in Gokul. And then Vasudeva Krishna was brought by his father Vasudeva from Mathura to